It's time for this week's View from the Sideline. Here's Bryan Burchfield.
It's time for this week's View from the Sideline. Joining me this week, after a few weeks of players, we got a coach in here with us this week, Sweetwater defensive coordinator Mike Martin. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're well. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us. And Coach, defensive coordinator this year, tell us, how many years does this make for you in coaching now?
Oh, Lord. In high school, I'd say probably 24, 25 years. I've coached a few years at small college level, and I coached some Little League too. So I'd say overall probably about 30 years, I'd say. And I've enjoyed every one of them.
What is it about coaching that you enjoy so much?
I like I like anything that you got to do with young people. I enjoy that, and getting to go out and maybe work with them and teach them a few things. It's got to do with football or life or anything else. And then I like the competitive part of it. I always enjoy competing in anything I do, and still at the age I'm at now, if I compete in something, I compete. So I try to get that instilled in young men and young women, and I just think you're a better person if you compete. That don't mean you win every time, but I just like competitive.
Well, this season, as I said, you've moved to defensive coordinator. Tell us about that move and why you chose to do that this season.
Well, I didn't really choose it. Coach Evanston came to me and asked me if I'd be interested, and it's funny that you asked me that question because I've coached, I think, every position. I've been a head coach for several years and offensive coordinator, but I've never been a defensive coordinator. When I was a head coach, I always had a defensive coordinator, and that was kind of intriguing to me. I thought, you know what, I've never done this. That's one thing I haven't done. So he asked me about it, and I thought, you know what, we'll try it and see. And so I took advantage of it, and I've enjoyed it.
From a philosophy standpoint, are you more of a lean toward the defense or an offensive guy? It'd be interesting to find that out.
Well, it's funny. Until you do it, you really don't know. We was having this conversation this week. As far as preparation, when as an offensive coordinator, you prepare for a defense. You know what they're going to run. As a defensive coordinator, you have to look at 5 film, and they might run, 27 different plays and block them 25 different ways. So it's been a challenge. And our philosophy is we just try to keep it simple. One, because I think the less confused you are, the better you can on defense. The better you can run to the football. And two, I'm not going to try to fake it here on this interview and say I know all about it, because I don't. So we've got some pretty good players, and I say it on Friday nights constantly to our defensive staff, just don't let me coach us out of a good defensive game plan. So yeah. We try to put them in a good position, and then just let them run the football.
Sweetwater defensive coordinator Mike Martin, our guest on this week's View from the Sideline. So you mentioned all the years you've been in coaching, and then first-time defensive coordinator. Has it changed the way you look at defense, now being the head defensive guy this year?
Well, it has a little, and I can tell you the biggest change I see is I'm an 8-man in the box guy, a 5'3" guy, and that's 8 people in the box, yeah, and with a cover 3 behind it. But you literally these days you see you see all these spread offenses, so it makes it difficult to have that philosophy, because you've got them spread out and you've got to match up with them. And so we've tried to keep that philosophy, and just kind of we've actually just come up with a few things on our own as far as adjustments, for that. But and the other thing I think I've seen defensively is, to me, defensively is more the emotion side of the ball. If you come out not ready to play offensively, you can have a running back break 3 tackles and score, and it don't affect you. Now, when you come out not ready to play defensively,
yeah,
I think if you don't get them ready to play, I think it really affects you on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm not saying, you got to tell them a motivational story every before every game, but you better get a little energy about you on the defensive side, because it takes a little more effort to get off a block and run and make a tackle and want to do that.
Coach, I've had the opportunity to interview several of the defensive players so far this season, and a lot of those guys have been very complimentary towards you and talked about how much fun they have playing defense under you. How does that make you feel?
Well, that makes me feel very good that you say that. I don't ever get to listen to these, Harley, but that makes me feel wonderful. But I think that goes back to kind of what I said at the beginning. I try to let them buy. I try to let them buy into it and let them take ownership in it. And we've come out and laid the groundwork for it in our defensive scheme. But I've let them have some say-so in it, and it's hard these days to give kids a little say-so, because they won't take it too far. But these guys have done a wonderful job of, we kind of make a deal with them. You know what? We're going to put you here, and how you get to the next step, that's on you, as long as you can do it. And our kids have responded to that and that's kind of what we wanted. I don't want to be a robotic coach and a robotic defense, and sometimes that's very successful. But with our personnel that we had this year, I feel like we can. I didn't want to anything I do hold them back. So just let them have fun and run to the football, and we try to get. We'll figure out their 2 or 3 favorite running plays and their 2 or 3 favorite passing plays, and we'll stuff that down their throats for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then just let them play on Friday.
One of the things they've mentioned too, they like to get after it. It seems your players like to get after it, and your scheme kind of lends itself to that.
Right.
Talk about your defense. It seems like your defense has been more aggressive this year, and a lot of pressure, a lot of pass rush. Talk about that.
Right. Well, and that's kind of our philosophy. You're hitting it right on the head. In high school, and I hate to say this because this Friday we'll get lit up, but usually, we kind of take the ideal of let's make them beat us throwing the ball downfield, and that don't mean we're not going to give up 1 or 2, but we've got to stop the run, and if that means we have to take some chances in the defensive backfield, which we have this year quite often. A lot of people don't see that or notice that, but we have, and our kids have done a pretty good job of disguising those things, but we're about stopping the run. And this Friday against Loudon, they've got a quarterback and a running back that are pretty solid, and we'll have to take that same philosophy up there to even have a chance.
Sweetwater defensive coordinator Mike Martin, our guest on this week's View from the Sideline, and Coach touched on the Loudon game just a little bit coming up this Friday. How are you approaching this with the kids? Are y'all trying to treat this as any other game, or are you guys embracing everything that's riding on this game Friday?
Well, that's funny, too, that you asked that, because a lot of times different coaches have different philosophy. Me personally, and I don't want anybody to take this wrong, but it's Loudon. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I, as a player and a coach, I always get cranked up for them. I have great respect for them, and I got Coach Herrick back, and he does a great job. And I just go back many years, even like I said, as a player, and some of the games we had with them, and some of them had some very important outcomes. The counting on the playoffs where you were seeded, or if you won the district, and this one has some implications there. So I think our kids know it. I'm sure their kids know it, but to me personally, I was cranked up Monday in film because it's Loudon, and I just try to get it over to them that, hey, it's Loudon, regardless of what the implications are. It's Loudon. It's about 8 minutes up the road. Their community wants to beat Sweetwater, and our community wants to beat Loudon. So let's go see what happens on Friday. And we've kind of approached it that way this week.
Tell us a little bit more in depth about this Loudon team. Last year, they were 1-9.
Right.
Now they're 6-1. ranked 10th in the state in 3A.
Right.
What's been the difference in this team as you look at them on film from last year to this year?
Well, one thing is I think they're healthier this year. I know last year they had some injuries, and I didn't know their coach real well last year. I know he had some injuries. And two, I think he's got some more experienced players this year, and then Coach Harry had come aboard, and I've dealt with him for many years, whether I was at Sweetwater or somewhere else playing against them. He always has them ready. Very solid quarterback, can throw it, quarterback can run it. Got a number 7 running back that can just, tote that thing. We'll have to game tackle him, and maybe their most impressive thing is up front. Their line is very well coached, and their scheme, their zone scheme, and a GT scheme, and a power scheme, and they give you 2 or 3 different schemes schematically, offensively that you got to prepare for, and it'll be a very good challenge. But I told them Monday in film, I hope they're up for the challenge because I'm going to be cranked up. I can't put them on anymore, and wouldn't be any help if I could put them on anymore. But we got to be cranked up for this one defensively. Kind of going back to what I said earlier. You got to be ready to play defense, and we can't afford to get behind on this one and come out slow.
Yeah.
Offensively, they're so explosive. They're so explosive that if you don't come out ready, you'll be behind. If you look at their scores, buddy, they put some points on the board.
Yeah.
So we got our hands full.
Well, Coach, you kind of alluded to my last question. That was going to be, are you ready for Friday? And that's clear. But have you got the team ready? Is the team ready to play Loudon Friday?
Well, I hope they are. I quit trying to guess when it comes to 15, 16, 17-year-olds because they just tear your stomach out, and I quit trying to say, well, we're ready, or I get asked that all the time. You got them ready, and I say, well, I don't know, but we've had a good week. I can tell you that we've had a good week of practice, and I think our kids know what's coming. I think our kids are ready now. Are ready for it. I am going to say I do think we've prepared to be ready, but till 7:30 Friday night, you really don't know, and we'll just have to find out.
Sweetwater Defensive Coordinator Mike Martin on this week's View from the Sideline. Coach, thank you for your time, and good luck Friday at Loudon.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
You've been listening to View from the Sideline. The Fairweather Financial pregame show is coming up next.